Hi everyone, welcome to my channel International Storyteller. In this channel, you will find true horror stories worldwide. These stories are for entertainment purposes only. In this video, I will tell you the story of one of the most famous ghosts in Thailand, called Mae Nak Phra Kanong. The ghost story of Mae Nak Phra Kanong is about a young wife waiting for her husband even after her death. Thailand is a country located in the center of mainland Southeast Asia. This country may be known as the land of smiles, but it is also home to many scary ghost stories. Many Thai people also have strong beliefs in spirits and ghosts. According to Thai people, the most powerful and frightening ghosts are those that originate from women who have died in childbirth. One such ghost in Thailand is the ghost of Mae Nak Phra Kanong, who tried to fool her husband into believing she and her child lived even after her death. Mae Nak Phra Kanong means Miss Nak of Phra Kanong. Phra Kanong is a place in Thailand where Mae Nak was born. The word Mae was used for Miss in earlier days in Thailand. Every woman in the Phra Kanong area of Thailand had the word Mae in front of their name to represent their gender as a lady. People simply called the ghost of Mae Nak Phra Kanong as Mae Nak. Most Thai people consider the ghost story of Mae Nak to be a real story. But they don't like to speak about the ghost of Mae Nak because they are afraid that her ghost will come into their dreams while sleeping. Thai mothers often say named of Mae Nak to their children to warn them if they delay on their way home from school or stay out too late in the dark night. The local people of Phra Kanong believed that whenever there was an unexplained creepy incident that took place in their village, it was done by the ghost of Mae Nak, and they were very scared of it. Today, Phra Kanong is a sub-district of the capital city of Thailand, which is Bangkok. A temple containing the statue of Mae Nak was constructed at Phra Kanong. It is a large temple, and locals often call it as the Temple of Mother Nak. A statue of Mae Nak and her newborn baby is placed at the center of the temple. Many toys for her child and paintings of the ghost are also displayed around her statue. Here, people pray to the spirit of Mae Nak to bless their lives with good fortune. They offer things such as gold leaves, baby clothes, and toys. People from faraway places also travel to the temple of Mae Nak to pay their respects and seek her favors. Many young women ask Mae Nak to guard them against suffering her fate, which is easy childbirth. They also request the spirit of Mae Nak not to force their husbands into military service. Meanwhile, young men also ask the spirit of Mae Nak that she spare them not to be picked for military service in Thailand's lucky draw-style conscription. The real story behind Mae Nak is a sorrowful and heartbreaking love story. The story of Mae Nak is also a popular subject for films, television series, radio dramas, comic books, and even musicals. There are many versions of Mae Nak, with the first film made in 1936, and later many horror films based on Mae Nak were released in Thailand. But the popular horror movie based on the Mae Nak story was P Mak, which was released in 2013. The horror movie was shown around the world, making the famous Thai ghost even more popular among foreigners. So what is the story behind this Thai famous ghost, Mae Nak Phra Kanong? Is the horror movie based on the Mae Nak story really a true incident? In order to know this, let us hear the true story of Mae Nak Phra Kanong. The real story of Mae Nak is believed to have happened around the 18th and 19th centuries, during the reign of King Rama IV to King Rama VI. During that time, a beautiful young woman named Mae Nak lived in the village near Phra Kanong. Phra Kanong at that time was a small village and a lot more isolated from the capital, Bangkok. The young woman, Mae Nak, married a man named Mak and lives there happily. They hope to raise a family and live a simple and peaceful life together. Mae Nak was deeply in love with her husband, Mak. Soon, she got pregnant, and Mak was so happy. At that time, the war known as the Siamese-Vietnamese War broke out. In earlier times, Thailand was known as Siam, and people living there were known as Siamese. So, this was a fight in a border area between the Siamese people and Vietnamese people. Unfortunately, Mae Nak community living in Phra Kanong had to go to war. Mass conscription of young men was followed in her village. Mak was also conscripted and sent to war, leaving behind his pregnant wife alone. While Mae Nak was alone at home, she goes into delivery. Unfortunately, she died during a difficult childbirth with the baby still inside her. The village people found her dead body and immediately buried her dead body near her house. After Maynak is dead, her spirit refuses to let go of the human realm. Instead of going to the afterlife, she turned into a powerful spirit called Phai Tai Hong Thong Klam, which is a vengeful and restless spirit of a person who suffered a violent or cruel death in Thailand. However, many believed that Maynak's spirit refused to leave her house due to her extreme love and devotion to her husband. Her powerful spirit remained in ghostly human form, creating an illusion that she and her baby were still alive. Then her ghostly human form continued to carry on her daily work at home. Every day, she waited for her husband's return near the river. Then the local people in Phra Kanong discovered Maynak's ghostly appearance. They regularly saw Maynak's ghostly image along the river, waiting for her husband. They could also hear the voice of her ghost crying. So they were very scared to come near her house. The villagers invited monks to perform exorcist and expel her ghost, but none succeeded. As a result, the locals are very terrified and left their house by crossing on the other side of the river. On the other hand, Mac was fighting on the front lines of the war. During the war, Mac suffered a terrible wound and had to go back to Bangkok to take care of his health. After being treated for the wounds, he was able to recover his health to normal. Then Mac recovers from his wound and returns to his village at Phra Kanong. Upon his return, he found his village in ruins and almost all the houses were either abandoned or destroyed. But he discovered his home standing unharmed and clean. When Mac reached his home, he found his loving wife, May Nak, and their newborn baby waiting for him at his home. At first, Mac does not realize that his wife is a ghost. So, he quickly settles back into his old life. They live together happily and in peace for some time, but Mac was still completely unaware that he was living with ghosts. Then the villagers came to know that Mac was living with the ghost of his wife. They tried to reach Mac and tell him the truth about his dead wife and child. But each time someone got close to Mac and tried to warn him about his wife being a ghost, they would meet a terrible fate at Maynak's hands. Sometimes Maynak would kill those who tried to warn Mac about her being a ghost. But some villagers were able to reach Mac and reveal the truth to him that his wife Maynak and her child were in fact dead. However, Mac was very angry when hearing that and refused to believe them. It would not be until one fateful day that Mac would finally discover the horrible truth about his wife ghost. One night, Maynak was alone at home and she was preparing food on the upper floor of the house. While preparing food, she accidentally dropped a lime fruit on the ground floor. Maynak thought that she was alone at home, and for a moment she forgot to keep up her appearance as a human. So she stretched her long arm all the way from the upper floor down to the ground floor below to reach the lime fruit. At that very moment, Mac returned home from his daily job and witnessed a horrifying scene. Seeing this, Mac finally realized that his wife was actually a ghost. So, Mac became so horrified, but he pretends that he did not see the scary incident. That night, Mac tries to flee the house without her wife noticing. So, he lies to his wife, saying he will go to the toilet. Thus, he was able to slip away from his ghost wife. Then he runs and escapes from his house into the dark night. After some time, Maynak discovered that her husband had left her and run away, so she went after him. Mac sees his ghostly wife and hides himself behind a blumia bush because, according to Thai folklore, ghosts are afraid of sticky blumia leaves. He then runs to the temple of Phra Kanong, which is a holy place. He took shelter in that temple because ghosts could not enter inside the temple. Maynak, after reaching the temple, was unable to enter inside this holy temple. She was heartbroken and became very angry. So her ghost set out to take revenge on the villagers, terrorizing the people of Phra Kanong for causing Mac to leave her. The whole community of the village was terrified and was running for their lives. Then a powerful monk heard about Maynak's terrorizing the people of Phra Kanong, so he came to the village. The monk performed exorcism and was able to capture Maynak's spirit inside an earthen pot. Then the monk threw this earthen pot into the water of the Phra Kanong river. Since then, the haunting in the village of Phra Kanong has finally ended. The local people who ran away from the village of Phra Kanong returned to their homes and started a normal life. For a while, it seemed the hauntings in the village were over, but the story wouldn't end there. A few years later, the earthen pot containing the spirit of Mae Nak was found in the river by two fishermen. They were unaware of what's inside the earthen pot and accidentally freed Mae Nak's spirit. By this time, Mak had moved on and started a new life with another woman. When Mae Nak discovered that her husband Mak was living with another woman, she flew into a violent rage and killed the new woman. Then she again turned her attention to the village and terrorized the villagers once more. Finally, a famous monk named Somdet Phra Phutachan came to help the people of Phra Kanong. He approached Mae Nak's spirit with calmness and pure sympathy. The monk Somdet Phra Phutachan guides the spirit of Mae Nak to let go of her past life and move on. He promised Mae Nak that she would live again with her husband Nak in the next life if she stopped killing and terrorizing the villagers. Mae Nak believed the promise given by the monk, and her spirit finally stopped causing destruction and left this world. The famous monk then cremated Mae Nak's body properly and carved out a piece of her forehead bone and binds it to his waistband to keep as an amulet. This amulet has since become a lost treasure among Thai relics. But Thai amulet collectors say that the amulet made from Mae Nak forehead bone is currently in the possession of the Thai royal family. During the year 1900s, Admiral Prince Abhakara Kyartavings, who was the Prince of Chumphan, which is in the southern part of Thailand, also claimed that the amulet made from Mae Nak forehead bone was in his possession.